Hey, it's Adam Grant from Work Life, a podcast from TED. This episode is brought to you by Freshworks. Freshworks believes that complexity is the enemy of efficiency. So stop wrestling with bloated, expensive service software that takes forever to implement an update, where ROI is someday, not today. You've been overcharged and underserved for way too long. Uncomplicate with Freshservice for IT and Freshdesk for customer support. And with Freshworks AI-assisted service software, you'll work smarter, not harder. Freshworks uncomplicates. Learn more at freshworks.com.
It's Saturday, the 5th of July. I'm Mike Willer, and this was a week that saw the government struggle with the welfare bill, the COVID inquiry back in session, tributes to a Liverpool star and a Hollywood icon.
Grab a cup of something hot, put up your feet, and get up to speed on the 7 biggest stories of the week. This is the Standout 7 from the Smart 7.
It's news,
but not the news.
The big priority for the government this week was the vote on the welfare bill. But it's been anything but smooth sailing. Last weekend saw Labour clock up another U-turn as they agreed to back down on changes that were due to be included in the welfare bill. The climb down saw a pause on changes to the PIP and disability payments, and Prime Minister Keir Starmer apologised for not responding sooner to the Labour backbench rebellion. He said he'd been caught up with NATO and the G7, but speaking at the Welsh Labour conference on Saturday, he promised that his government will tackle the welfare system.
Everyone agrees that our welfare system is broken, failing people every day, and the costs spiralling out of control. Fixing it is a moral imperative, but we need to do it in a Labour way, conference, and we will.
It's one of several U-turns recently, and the PM has also expressed regret over his island of stranger remarks in an interview with The Observer over the weekend. Political historian Anthony Selden is unimpressed by Labour's first year in power.
Not in 100 years has anyone made such an inept start with so little idea about what he's doing, what he's communicating, and the people he needs around him, both inside Downing Street and in the other key positions.
The revisions to the bill failed to quell a brewing Labour backbench rebellion, however, and Work and Pensions Secretary Liz Kendall spoke in the Commons on Monday to defend the government's plan to reform social welfare and warn that over 1 million young people not in education, employment or training is an unsustainable burden on the economy.
There have also been real concerns about our initial proposals. We have listened carefully, and we are making positive changes as a result.
In the end, the welfare bill finally stumbled through Tuesday's vote in Parliament with a government majority of just 75 votes. While the rebellion was avoided, it was only because the government was forced to make additional concessions to the bill right up until the vote was due. That means that any changes to PIP rules have now been suspended until a review has taken place, and most of the savings the bill was supposed to create have evaporated. Work and Pensions Secretary Liz Kendall was putting on a brave face on matters and says that there are still significant elements of reform in the bill.
I wish we had got to this point in a different way, and there are absolutely lessons to learn. But I think it's really important we've passed this bill for second reading. It puts in place some really important reforms to the welfare system. Tory leader Kemi Badenoch was quick to put the boot in as the bill got shredded.
It beggars belief that the Labour Party came into office after 14 years in opposition with absolutely no serious plan for reforming welfare. What were they doing all that time?
The net effect of changes to the bill will be to miss out on £5 billion in savings, and the new hole in public finances may well lead to another change in approach to the fiscal rules on borrowing, or potential tax rises, both of which the Chancellor had previously ruled out. Deputy PM Angela Rayner was defending the process that led to the changes in the welfare bill and trying to tamp down any talk of a crisis at Labour HQ.
The process of Parliament can look argy-bargy and look like everyone's falling out, but that's the way you get to a consensus. So people might see that as, oh, well, it's chaos, but actually we've got to a better place now. But
the vote itself wasn't the end of the drama, as on Wednesday a visibly upset Chancellor Rachel Reeves took her seat late for Prime Minister's question time, which kicked off a wide range of speculation about her future, not helped by pointed and persistent questioning from Tory leader Kemi Badenoch.
She looks absolutely miserable. She's Labour MPs are going on the record saying that the Chancellor is toast. And the reality is that she is a human shield for his incompetence.
Labour sources say that the Chancellor had a personal matter which had upset her, and then had a disagreement with Speaker Sir Leslie Hoyle over a procedural matter from Tuesday. The Prime Minister was giving his Chancellor his full backing and wasn't in the mood for the Tory attacks.
I'm really proud of our first year in government. We promised, Mr. Speaker, 2 million extra NHS appointments. We've delivered 4 million. A promise made and a promise delivered. We're only getting started, and the Chancellor's led on all these issues, and we're grateful to her for it.
The story of the Chancellor's tears and Tory leader Kemi Badenoch's response as she publicly drew attention to Reeves on Wednesday at Prime Minister's question time and referred to her as Keir Starmer's human shield wouldn't go away. So on Thursday, the Chancellor took the opportunity to clear up what exactly went on.
Clearly I was upset. Everyone could see that. It was a personal issue, and I'm not going to go into the details of that. I guess the thing that maybe is a bit different between my job and many of your viewers is that when I'm having a tough day, it's on the telly.
Apart from the welfare bill drama, this week saw the government unveil their new 10-year plan for the NHS. Even before it was published, Sir James Mackey, the new CEO of NHS England, was warning that it's critical that public feedback on the NHS and the service they get informs what changes are made. He also warned that sometimes patients are almost an inconvenience to the organisation and that has to change. General Secretary of the Royal College of Nurses, Nicola Ranger, said he has a point.
This 10-year plan is really important, and I think sadly many people working in the health service are not always proud of the care that they're giving. There will be many NHS staff that will recognise what Sir Jim Mackey is saying and are desperate to put it right.
The official launch of the new plan took place on Thursday with a promise from the Prime Minister to transform it from a sickness service to a health service. The new plan has a lot more technology with plans for AI, digital records, the potential for free wearables and a brand new NHS app that is intended to be a doctor in your pocket. There's also a commitment to more personal health budgets, more staff for the NHS and a new focus on community hubs. The PM says technology and a new approach to healthcare will make a real difference.
Disease has changed, and we must change with it. And not only can we do that, we can do it in a way that improves care and convenience for millions of people.
Dr Bex Fisher, the Director of Research and Policy for Nuffield Trust, a health think tank, told the BBC's World at One that the government needs to commit to investment to make the plan work.
There are lots of bold ambitions in this plan that we welcome and that, if delivered, could genuinely be game changers. There are so many good promises in this plan. The vision is easy to get behind. Our big question is this plan going to be deliverable?
Donald Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill finally passed the US Senate on Tuesday evening after days of wrangling and so-called vote-a-rama as Democrats sought to block it. The bill, which is 1,000 pages long, is packed full of unpleasant surprises for the American public and includes tax cuts for the rich and tax cuts to essential programs like Medicaid. The Senate parliamentarians' independent assessment is that the bill will add trillions to the US debt, and it now has to return to Congress for another vote. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer had a grim warning for Americans.
When people start losing their Medicaid, when they start losing their jobs, when their electric bills go up, when their premiums go up, when kids and parents lose SNAP funding, the people of America will remember this vote.
President Trump has bullied the bill through the process, threatening repercussions for Republicans who don't support it. He spent Tuesday touring a new facility in Florida dubbed Alligator Alcatraz, which is designed to be essentially an internment camp for immigrants awaiting deportation. He wasn't finished with the threats either, targeting former bestie Elon Musk over his rejection of Trump's budget bill.
We might have to put Doge on Elon. You know what Doge is? Doge is the monster that might have to go back and eat Elon. Wouldn't that be terrible? He gets a lot of subsidies.
Friday also marked the 4th of July as America celebrated Independence Day. President Trump and the Republican Party were also celebrating the passing of the much-discussed One Big Beautiful Bill, which has struggled through the Senate and Congress. Democrats did their level best to stop it, with House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries speaking for a record-breaking 8.5 hours in the House, but to no avail. The bill was due to be signed at 5 p.m. on Friday, and Trump celebrated the victory at a rally in Iowa on Thursday night.
It was hardworking citizens like you who saved our country in November. Who would have thought there'd be this much of a change this fast? I didn't even think it would happen this fast. Again, we have the hottest country anywhere in the world.
The sixth module of the COVID inquiry opened on Monday. This segment is focused on what happened in care homes during the pandemic. The death toll from the pandemic was over 220,000 people, and of that number, over 45,000 deaths came in care homes. The opening statement from Peter Weatherby, who is the barrister for the COVID-19 Bereaved Families for Justice group, said one of the civil servants in his written evidence described what he called generational slaughter in care homes in the early days of the pandemic. The secretary to the inquiry, Ben Connor, says this phase will be difficult to watch, but had nothing but praise for the families who had been given evidence.
I've met hundreds of people who have shared their experiences. They have been brave, they've been honest, and they've helped us to build a better picture of the true impact that COVID had right across the UK.
Day two saw testimony from a care home owner, Helen Louise Howe, who was giving evidence on behalf of the COVID-19 Bereaved Families for Justice, and she said the situation was horrific. Her husband committed suicide due to, she says, the pressure of the pandemic, and she described staff as being absolutely terrified because there was no testing available. Former Health Secretary Matt Hancock was due to give evidence on Wednesday, but there was evidence that his previous assertion that staff were the primary reason for the spread of infections in care homes was wrong. Professor Laura Shallcross is the author of the Vivaldi study, which looked at the progress of COVID in care homes, and she said that that was not the case.
Based on data in Vivaldi, yes, that's correct. So it's going beyond what can be concluded properly from Vivaldi to say that movement of staff between care homes was the main source of transmission.
Wednesday saw former Health Secretary Matt Hancock on the stand. The bereaved families described his testimony as full of excuses and devoid of accountability, as Mr. Hancock stubbornly defended his decision to shift untested patients into care homes as the least worst option.
The protection at the time was clearly not as much as we would have liked, but the alternatives were even worse.
Still to come on the Standout 7 in association with Metro, Glastonbury chants lead to outrage and Sean Combs faces justice.
Right after this.
Who says luxury has to come with a steep price tag? Quince brings you hotel-quality sheets and linens without the markup. From breathable bamboo bedding to spa-worthy bath towels, Quince makes every corner of your home look and feel luxurious. And by partnering directly with top artisans and ethical factories, Quince delivers premium quality at half the cost of similar brands. Upgrade your home for less at Quince. Go to quince.com/home upgrade for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/home upgrade.
Welcome back.
The weekend saw 200,000 people flock to Worthy Farm to enjoy music in the sunshine. But this year's Glastonbury lineup came with a serious portion of politics on the side. While the 1975 Neil Young, Rod Stewart and Olivia Rodrigo were all keeping the crowd happy, there were serious complaints about two acts and their overly political messages from the stage. Northern Irish act Kneecap weren't streamed live by the BBC after one of the members of the group was charged with a potential terrorism offence over the display of a Hezbollah flag last November. Punk duo Bob Vylan led the crowds in chants of death to the IDF and caused a storm of outrage across the political spectrum. Health Secretary Wes Streeting was pointing the finger at the BBC.
I thought it was appalling, to be honest, and I think the BBC and Glastonbury have got questions to answer about how we saw such a spectacle. But I also think it's a pretty shameless publicity stunt, which I don't really want to give too much indulgence to for that reason.
Tory Shadow Work and Pensions Secretary Helen Whatley said there's a bigger context that is more complex than getting a crowd to chant slogans.
That's happening because of Hamas and what they did, and the fact that Hamas uses people as human shields and has still got hostages there. And is it that the crowd in Glastonbury forgot that?
By Monday, everyone in Glastonbury had packed up their tents and headed home, but the ongoing controversy over the politics of the festival rumbled on. Avon and Somerset police have now launched an investigation into performances by Irish act Kneecap and punk duo Bob Vylan. The force is reviewing footage to see if the chants amount to a public order incident, as the BBC was criticised over its failure to pull the live stream. Baroness Jackie Smith said it was particularly insensitive in the context of the original Hamas attack.
And the fact that it happened at a music festival, where I'm sure actually lots of people were reflecting on the fact that on the 7th of October, young people were dragged out of a music festival, kidnapped and murdered, will bring home to people why the BBC shouldn't have allowed it to be broadcast live.
Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy said she has already spoken to the BBC's Director General, and content regulator Ofcom was warning that the BBC has questions to answer. But Palestine Solidarity Campaign Director Ben Jamal says the acts were highlighting a legitimate issue, the suffering of the people in Gaza.
Do I think the appropriate attitude to the commission of atrocities is loathing and hatred of those actions? Yes, of course I do. The Prime Minister has used very strong language to condemn this. He hasn't used the same language to condemn those atrocities.
The trial of the man with many names finally reached a verdict on Wednesday. Sean Combs, also known as Puff Daddy or P. Diddy, was in court in New York, accused of a range of serious crimes, including racketeering, sex trafficking, and running a criminal enterprise. The trial lasted for 7 weeks and spawned plenty of podcast episodes with bizarre stories of freak-off parties, baby oil, and testimony from former assistants. Wednesday's verdict saw the music mogul duck some of the more serious charges as he was acquitted on 3 counts, but found guilty of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. Combs still faces about 30 civil lawsuits and could be sentenced to 10 years for each offence. Douglas Weigeler was one of the prosecution team, and he was happy to see guilty verdicts.
We're pleased that he's finally been held responsible for 2 federal crimes, something that he's never faced in his life. Of course, we would have liked to have seen a conviction on the sex crimes in RICO, but we're just pleased that he still faces substantial jail time.
There was tragic news for Liverpool fans on Thursday morning as Diogo Jota and his brother Andre Silva died in a car crash in northern Spain. Jota joined Liverpool in 2020 from Wolves, and the forward scored 65 goals in 182 appearances for the club. He also won the Premier League, FA Cup and League Cup with Liverpool, and twice won the Nations League with his native Portugal. Tragically, he had married his childhood sweetheart just 2 weeks ago and had 3 young children. There were tributes from across football, including his former manager Jurgen Klopp, who described him as a fantastic player and a great friend. Prime Minister Keir Starmer described the death as heartbreaking, and Deputy PM Angela Rayner joined fans at Anfield to lay a floral tribute.
I think the whole world actually is really devastated and shocked by such a tragic end to, someone who is well loved here in Liverpool. And I think the whole city is there to support his wife and children and his family.
Friday also saw the death of Hollywood star Michael Madsen. He was probably most famous for his roles in Quentin Tarantino movies, including Reservoir Dogs, the Kill Bill series, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He passed away at age 67 after what appeared to be a cardiac arrest at home. His sister, Virginia Madsen, said, "We're mourning someone who stormed through life, loud, brilliant, and half on fire." Madsen moved to Hollywood in the early 1980s and spoke back in 2020 as his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame was unveiled, about how he took a cab to the legendary Mann's Chinese Theatre and dreamed of becoming a big name in Hollywood. Rest in peace, Michael.
Many, many years ago, I came to California to Mann's Chinese Theatre because I wanted to see the footprints and I wanted to see it. And it was raining and I got out and I walked around and I looked and I wondered if there was someday, some way that was going to be a part of me, and I didn't know what I was going to do at that point with myself. I could have been nothing, but I got lucky. I got lucky as an actor.
You've been listening to The Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hit that follow button and have a great day. Give us 7 minutes and we'll give you the world.
Who says luxury has to come with a steep price tag? Quince brings you hotel-quality sheets and linens without the markup. From breathable bamboo bedding to spa-worthy bath towels, Quince makes every corner of your home look and feel luxurious. And by partnering directly with top artisans and ethical factories, Quince delivers premium quality at half the cost of similar brands. Upgrade your home for less at Quince. Go to quince.com/home upgrade for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/home upgrade.